very much. Hello everyone, this is Rick with XYZ Modeling and Graphics. Today we're looking at month number 5 of the Star Wars Build Your Own X-Wing model by D'Agostini. And be sure to stick around after the build video for my commentary on the FX Collectibles ANH Star Destroyer. So let's kick it off with issue number 17. So I'm going to go ahead and just zoom straight to the build. I'm going to open up our packaging, double check the contents, make sure everything's accounted for. In this issue we're going to be finishing off the wing assembly. And there's just a few more detailed pieces to add here. And the outer skin. So we're going to be starting off by putting the edge strip pieces on the inside of this engine well, and I am using super glue or CA glue just to ensure those pieces stay in place. Now they are pretty tight fitting. I'm sure a compression fit would have worked out, but I want to stay consistent with my gluing liberties here. But you know, just snap these into place, make sure they seat firmly, and you'll know they're in there when you sort of hear a snapping sound. And I'm not talking about breaking them, of course, but when these things sit in place, they will kind of pop. So next we're going to be adding the cover piece to the engine portion that we slaved over last month. And as predicted, we are going to be covering up. However, I was wrong. There is a little bit standing out there. The engine header pieces that, to me, were the most challenging part of putting those parts on are exposed, and I'm happy to see that. Next thing we're going to do is to add the laser cannon that we assembled in our first month. And you just secure these down with the XW02 screws. There's 3 of them. Let's make sure those are pressed firmly in place. Double check that the base of that cannon falls flush to the end of the wing. And next is to connect the wire to the jumper that's inside this wing and neatly coil it towards the bottom, as you see here. Finally, we're going to be adding the skin to the bottom of the starboard wing, starboard upper wing. And it's pretty nice. You know, there's some openings in this wing that allow you to see the details in the front. Now I'm clamping them down here just to make sure that this thing is seated firmly. And that wraps it up for issue number 17. So here we are with issue number 18. This is a pretty quick issue. We're going to be adding the windscreens to the canopy frame. They call them canopy glazing panels, but pretty nice pieces. They are plastic, of course, and fit right into the delicate framing of the canopy. You just press the large one in there. They're just friction fit. I'm not going to bother gluing them at this time because I will be painting the framing on this, but I did want to check out the realism of these pieces, and they actually do look pretty good, as you can see. And here we go with issue 19. Since we completed the upper starboard wing, let's get motivated to do 3 more of those bad boys. And we will be working now on the lower port side wing, beginning with the laser cannon. It's going to be a pretty quick issue. It's just basically assembling the cannon itself, or partially. There's components of it that's still required. We'll just push these pieces into place. By the time we get all four done, we'll be able to do this blindfolded. That's pretty much it. Here we go with issue number 20, the final issue for month 5. And we're going to go ahead and zoom straight to the build, opening our packaging and making sure all our parts and pieces are accounted for. Now, this issue is basically a continuation of issue number 19. We will be completing the port side cannon assembly. Lower port side cannon assembly. Take a quick inventory here. Now we're just going to go ahead and get our LED wire straightened out, make that a little bit easier to put into place. Snap those pieces together. I will say with this cannon, things appear to be fitting a little bit better than they did in the first issues. I don't know if that's my imagination or if they made some kind of modification to it, because most of these things fit a little bit nicer, especially the fiber optic filament, which we'll be putting in here shortly. But everything's just compression fit up to this point. And just assembling this laser emitter. Now we got the cannon base cover that we'll be sticking this laser emitter into, leaving the electrical wiring outside, sticking out of the side of it. Now that fiber optic filament fits into the opening towards the left side here, and that seals in with the black cap. Next we'll be threading it through the extruded aluminum pieces. Had to take off that section, didn't want to fit through the bushing very easily, but once I pulled that second half of the cannon off, then fit through pretty nice. Next we'll be assembling the tip of the laser cannon. Again, everything is just compression fit. I'm not gluing anything at this point because I will be going back and painting this. As a matter of fact, my next month, since we've got the right or starboard wing assembly complete, I might go ahead and get started on the painting of that. And of course, that will include the cannon for that wing. So everything fit in there nice and neat. And a little bit, no extra flashing on the bushings. Everything fit really nice. I was pleased to see that. Finally, we'll do our light test, and there she is. We got a little red glow at the tip of that cannon. Now that we've finished with one overpriced model, at least for the time being, let's take a look at another seemingly overpriced model. Of course, I'm referring to the FX Collectibles Studio Scale Star Wars ANH Star Destroyer. Now, last July at Comic-Con 2018, Norman Chan of Adam Savage's Tested interviewed Steve Nyson, a talented FX scale model maker, and who has also built the ANH Star Destroyer based on some Star Wars archive information that he had access to. In this video, Steve was asked to introduce the model and to share the story behind it. Now, he explained the history of it and how it came to the final design. Steve goes on to say that he was asked by Brian Ono, owner of FX Collectibles, what he thought the consumer interest might be with this model and what the price point should be once it hit the market. And Steve stated that it would be anywhere near $10,000. I was assuming it would be the low end of $10,000. And it would also be made to order and that it could be reproduced quickly by small businesses. And I'm assuming those businesses are located in the US. Now, fast forward to today, we see on the FX Collectibles website that this model is now available and is being sold for a whopping $16,000. Now, that's a 160% increase from the amount that Steve estimated in his interview. Now, I have a few questions that some of you might be able to help me with. How does FX account for that cost increase? Am I expected to believe that somehow this model is truly worth spending that amount of money? Whether someone could easily afford this price tag or not, the greater question to me is, and this is coming from a pure logical investment point of view, how could it be worth this much? What is the justification for it? As a lifelong Star Wars fan, it pains me to say that Star Wars is not as popular or marketable as it once was, or at least not under its current management. The evidence of that is out there, and it's a Google search away. Now, we can argue all day long about why that is, but the fact remains that since Lucasfilm was purchased by Disney, Star Wars has been suffering substantial box office losses, and any collector or business that used to count on profits by purchasing and reselling an officially licensed Star Wars product might end up having to nearly give those items away. Just ask Toys R Us. Star Wars just isn't that special anymore. It would be of no surprise to me to learn that this is just another cash grab opportunity by Disney to make up for box office failures, also known as underperformances, by essentially taxing the loyalty of diehard Star Wars fans like me. Now, fans that love this movie, it's because of how it used to be, how Star Wars used to be, but not what it's become. And at this price, I would feel like a complete sucker for buying this thing. At $10,000, it seemed almost reasonable. But I don't know. To me, it's the principle of the thing. Not to mention that FX has got the worst customer service I've ever experienced in my life. They do deliver eventually, but they couldn't care less about you once they have your money. But that's another story. If any of you out there are thinking of purchasing this model or already have, please let me know why you feel it was worth the investment. Maybe I'm miscalculating. I'm of the mind right now to simply wait until someone decides to sell theirs in a few years, and I'm willing to bet that it would be at a discount. Now, I'm willing to take one for the team with this X-Wing model, but I'm not about to spend $16,000 for an item that in my mind could not be worth anywhere near that amount, or might even cause my wife to file for divorce. But people, you can buy a new car for $16,000, or let's just say a nice used car. And in some places in this country, you can buy an entire house for $16,000. Here's one in Florida that you can buy. It's a trailer, but and maybe not here in Anchorage. You wouldn't be able to spend $16,000, maybe for a cabin or something. But you know, they're out there. I don't know. If any of you disagree with me about this, just let me know. Change my mind. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next month.